Well, thank everyone for having me. I'm going to talk about three different things. First, I'm going to introduce myself and talk about my relational story in the world, because as an artist, it was about, once I'm doing all that art, it's like, where's my family in the world? And then the next step is I want to talk about art and how art impacts you, and how by bringing more creativity and art into your life, you can be a more effective leader and person, just open up more the right brain, and just bring those qualities. It's just such a direct, efficient, simple way and fun to go into places that other ways can be a lot more, take a lot more turn and just be more difficult. Art is just a wonderful way. And then I want to talk about integral art, and it's just art in general for the whole world. So I have me, I have my tribe, and then I have the world. And when I do my workshop after, from 3:30 to 5, we'll be doing art exercises, so you'll be drawing, and then we'll be exploring relationship, the me, my tribe, and the world. So the me is someone that wasn't an artist at all, never expected to be an artist. And my main interest in life was just to be 100% vibrant and healthy and whole person. So it took me on a whole journey. I'm originally from Paris, France. I end up marrying a Canadian guy, and I'm living now in the past 20 years in the middle of the forest in Canada. And I've never imagined coming from Paris to have this recluse life in touch with nature. And just living this life of meditating and eating well and doing a lot of therapy and shadow work and, understanding life through relationships and focusing on this, creating this life for myself, then those images starting to emerge. And after I've done a few sketches, and after those few sketches become paintings, and after I show those paintings at shows, then I just find myself, and here I am with my paintbrush, and here I am as I'm a professional artist. So I will just show you a few of, I work with 5 different series. The one that is exhibited here at the Integral Center is called Wholeness, and it's more like my geometric images, and that'll be, so that's the first series that I, come up, and it's called, they're all like silhouettes, very simple images, but really just bring a lot of like freedom, joy, and just simple kind of archetypal images. So that's free, dancing wild. Another series I work with is called The Wild Woman. I like these themes because it talks about how we, like the most primal, mystical moment that human may have lived or encountered, before we were touched by any ideas, concepts, society, religion. So this is a wild woman, and she's on a quest, and there's a whole series of paintings that tell that story, which can be like our story today. And I have another nature series, so with trees, I always have this little red person just connecting really quietly with nature. I think like a lot of, from learning to live in nature, this like beside my children is like my second best teachers. Like nature knows everything, it's just so intelligent. Just by looking at it, you can get so many answers for what our complex brain put us into like weird situations. Then you go and sit in nature, and then it's like, what? I have a series on vaginas. I think that's just opens, a lot of my paintings just open different conversations that help us to grow up and wake up. And that's my Wholeness series. So this is our journey and her journey. You can see a little man, little baby growing up, going through the different trials of life, celebrating life, getting old, finding peace, returning. This is a story of a man, so I have the sun rising and sun setting, seasons passing, life passing. We don't know when it started, when it finishes. And then you can understand how this is for the woman, so that's like with the moon cycles. And you can see, like with those type of paintings, how when I came across integral theory and I was reading Ken Wilber's work and there's so many diagrams, it's like I just wanted, I thought, like everything I've been talking about, plus my own life, trying to be an integrated person in so many different areas, type, line, and quadrant of my life. This is called Wholeness. So it has both spirals, the story of the man, the story of the woman, and then they meet at the center, and then it goes again at this, because it's not like you found peace and it's all over. But then it's just, the idea of the spiral is amazing because you grow and then you pass again through the same sort of event that make you grow, but then you can see what you've been through and you're going through it again and again, but with a new perspective. I know I'm talking to the right crowd here. You understand what I'm talking about. So finding the family in my art with this like eclectic kind of different visions. I've been very fortunate to exhibit in many international exhibitions along with artists like Alex Gray, Amanda Sage, and I think people from the visionary art world recognize that my work has a relationship with it. But there is only one thing that I have a sort of a problem with this crowd, is that they really emphasize the entheogens, which are substances that you take for creating altered state, which are profoundly healing and important. And I was talking with Bryce that yesterday you had somebody called Jamie Will talking about those states. So I wasn't here for it, but I understand from talking with Bryce that those states are important. But for me, like it's not taking entheogens or those drugs. It hasn't been my path, and I have a problem in emphasizing that this is it. And also, visually, the visionary artists often represent this upper left quadrant, inner experiences of those altered states. And I think my art talks about a lot more things. So when I came across integral theory and integral art, I got pretty excited because I think there is an evolution, and art is telling the story of our humanity. Art is often at the edge of culture, showing where we're going. So visionary art is really important and has its place in the world, but this is not it. There is a next step, and if we believe that integral theory is at the edge of culture, then where is integral art? So the fascinating thing that I found about integral artists, here this is Philip Rubinov, Iris Ferenc, she's from Hungary. I curated the exhibition at the Integral Conference last year, so she was exhibiting there. Michael Burke. So you can see that the style, Jenny Baird is an extraordinary woman from UK. You can see with those artists that unlike any other art movement in the history of art, usually you would recognize Impressionism, you would recognize Cubism, you would recognize contemporary art. But integral art has so many visually different styles. So how do you define integral art? So Ken Wilber defines it by art that has been created from an integral consciousness. But then that's not enough for you to recognize it's integral art. So how do you do that? And maybe you just don't do that. So what I've noticed by meeting other integral artists, and it's been my story, is that before I was the artist, I was an integral person, trying to work at every different level of my life to be the most, developed, kind, intelligent, worked out with my emotions, authentic in my relationships, person than can be, and from this let the art emerge and be and transmit the states and stages that I work so hard to be at. So one thing you can notice is the title. So here I have 4 paintings. Jenny, here her painting's called Emergence Toward a Future Sun. Here we have Energy and Mass, Subconscious Terrain, The Mission, and here Gaia Orion, Lunar Awakening. You can feel through the title of those paintings what that artist is interested about. And I think that kind of gives you a clue. But then when you meet the artist, you will know too why they are an integral artist and where that integral consciousness is coming through. So when I came across integral theory, I felt that from everything that I had already done, that it only made sense for me to take all those diagrams and try to create a painting that would explain visually in one image, not in a whole bunch of diagrams, integral theory. So I created this painting, which I presented at the conference in Hungary last year. So that's the structure. You can recognize on the left the spiral of the stages of development. Then I have concentric circles, which shows how we're growing from egocentric to cosmocentric. Around the painting, I have the heart lotus flower, because this is the center. And then the quadrants. And the fascinating thing that happened as I'm working with those different, this base structure that I want for the painting is when you put it all together, look at how harmonious just this image looks like. I think just by seeing this image, it already tells you how the ground of integral theory has this elegance and beauty and intelligence. That's the 2-color charts. And you know, it was kind of disappointing to see Don Beck last year talking about those color differences, and every time you hear like amber blue, and it's just so confusing, especially when you're trying to learn it. It feels like a sort of like pebble on your shoe in the integral world, because we're trying to have everything like integrated and take every perspective, and then you've got this stupid thing between blue and yellow. Like, it's just, yeah. So anyway, in my painting, I was able to integrate both. So the level of development that we're going through the chart, going through each quadrant, then I try to just make a very simple, kind of like in my silhouette images, so that you can feel the stage when you see the image. So amber upper left, obviously, is like the cross with sort of God Almighty shining through with the sun through the cloud. Orange upper right, like behavior. So orange, we have the man that is running, doing the marathon. Green lower right, so we have the new energy and housing. Teal lower left, it's us growing together in a spiral. Oops. And then here, so you can see the colors. And then I have a ribbon, so I have the Ken Wilber's colors, and then I have a ribbon at the edge that shows. So when you see this, you can see that it's in teal yellow. And I'm staying, I don't know if a lot of people know Loretta Milburn here, staying at her place this weekend. And she was telling me how she was showing the map to her 11-year-old, and how he just so got the integral theory from looking at the map. So that was really exciting for me, because it's kind of a new painting, and I'm still kind of discovering how, you know, it's a complex thing to try to put into an image. And I call it 1.0 because, first of all, the original painting is lost in Paris. I have the story on the wall there if you want to read it. It's a totally crazy story. And next is that I already have things in my mind that I feel that I can do better. And if you have suggestions, then we'll do a 1.1. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I want to talk about. And thank you so much. There is one thing I want to mention is Marilyn Hamilton from Integral City. She was kind enough to sponsor the catalog of my exhibition here. And she just wrote a new book called Integral City Inquiry and Action. She sent 18 books and she wants them to be gone. So if you have any interest in urbanism, like I studied as an architect, so it was like such a great fit to work together. But her work is really groundbreaking and so important. Yeah, okay, thank you so much. And? Yeah, thank you, Jackie. So in the little room there, I have prints and jewelry that I make with my art. And the art on the wall, I will pick it up tomorrow night. I'll drive him back to Toronto with everything in the car, with all the rocks that we've collected in the desert for the past month. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaia.